Hey everyone, time for Gadget Talk, the monthly creative cache show brought to you by the Geocache Talk Geocaching Network. If you're watching live and be part of the adventure tonight, join us in the chat room and participate with others as they watch the show. The link to the chat room is on the geocachetalk.com front page. If you're listening later, please give it a like and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. And now here's your Gadget Talk host, Chad Champion, aka Bounce Bounce.
Thanks, Gary. You want to mention our sponsor?
Absolutely. Logwork, the creators of the fantastic logbook made with genuine Write in the Rain paper. The logbook's designed for the micro containers of the present and future, geared towards the hider who would rather go geocaching than doing geocache maintenance. Find them at Logwork, that's LOGWERK.com. Back to you, Chad.
Great. Thanks, Gary. Well, I want to welcome everybody here to the May 26th build of a toggle switch Decipher for a geocache. So one thing I want to say here real quick before we go live, if anybody, I've mentioned this before, but if anybody has any ideas of caches they want to do or any subjects they want us to cover, please send us an email at gadgettalkpodcast@gmail.com and just go ahead and ask us, and we'll see what we can do on that.
Yes, perfect.
So
I'm going to bring up the website too.
Yes, there you go.
Yep. Gadgettalkpodcast@gmail.com. Yep, go ahead. Sorry.
Perfect. So real quick here, let's go ahead and take a look at our parts. We're going to go over our parts here, what we need. And kind of have them here in my little parts caddy of everything we're going to need for tonight's build. So first of all, you're going to need something I don't have in this picture, but an ammo can. I'm going to use a plastic one, but you can actually use a metal or plastic. It's up to you. And it doesn't have to be an ammo can. You can do it in a birdhouse. You can do it in anything you want. But this is just what we're going to use for the show tonight. And then one LED, any color you want. I'm choosing red because, as we've talked about before, a red LED will actually work longer on a worn down battery or a battery that's depleted more than any other color. So I like to use the red on that because it's going to be internally powered.
Yeah, and it shows up well.
Yeah. And then one 9-volt battery clip. That's what we have here. A 9-volt battery, of course. 2 wire connectors here.
We lost your.
Wow. It always decides to do it right in the middle.
Right then. That's okay. Hey, while you're doing that, I got a real quick note for everyone. In June, oh, it's back. I'll share.
Go ahead and go with your notes. Okay.
I'll share something in a little bit about Write in the Rain, but you have to stay tuned for that. I will bring that up a little later.
Okay. Oh.
I think we're good. I muted it.
Did you mute it? Okay. Perfect. All right. So 22 gauge clips here, or wire nuts.
Yep.
3/16" drill bit, which is the smaller one here for the LED.
Okay.
And then a 15/32 drill bit, or a 1/2 inch if you don't have 15/32. Some people don't have that many, numbers of drill bits or selection. A foot long of 18 gauge wires, what I have here. And I grabbed a little piece of black so I can actually run it negative and positive.
Cool.
And then momentary switches here, which is the pack that was in the list. It's 3 momentary switches with the weatherproof or cover on them. So, so yeah. So I guess what we need to do here is start. Zoom out here a little bit on this. So we can actually see what we're doing. Is we will start making our holes in our ammo can.
Yep. I'll switch back to your other screen for a moment.
That'd be great. So we can go back to the
Okay, cool.
build screen. So get a little more height on this.
Yep, looks good.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is just like the ammo can we've done before in the past builds, is on the inside of it, here's where we're going to mount everything. And I like it because you can actually already tell exactly where you're going to end up putting it in that little section there.
Yeah.
And then we'll hot glue a battery in to this.
So nice spot for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to take a piece of tape, and you can use whatever tape you want. I use green tape. You can use blue tape, or any kind of tape you want. I just do this so I don't have a bunch of marks, unnecessary marks on my cache.
Yeah.
So, and then if you take a look at this area here, you have one of these lines or wall, whatever you want to call this divider, part of the mold here in the middle of each of the handles. So I'm just going to real quick in the middle of each of the handles make a line, because I know that's right where that is going to be.
Oh, right. So you don't run over it.
Right. And then we know it's even, or it's about, looks like a 1/4 inch or so off of there. But what I did was I would have measured it's 1.5 inches from this edge to here is that area we want to build in.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to go ahead and just measure over 3/4 inch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that camera's focusing very well, but
yeah, you're good. We can see. Well, yep. Appreciate you mentioning it too, because we do put up the audio so people are listening later. So
we're going to measure over 3/4 inch from the outside edge, and that's going to be our center of our area. We're going to put our switches.
Cool.
So I'm going to draw a line on there, just so I know what that is. And I always put a C on there. I don't know if you can see that. The light might be bright. And that just means it's center. So that's my center of that line.
Cool.
I probably should have put it up there, because that might go right where one of my marks are. Since we're only doing 3. Now, we're only doing 3 for this one tonight. You can do 4 or 5 or 6 toggle switches. It just depends on how hard you want to make it. I don't want someone taking forever to find this one, and then end up tearing it apart. So we're just going to do 3.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Just going to use a square to square this thing here up. Okay, so we know we need to have our 3 switches between these 2 points here on the center line.
Right.
So what we're going to do is find center of that line.
Center of the center.
Center of the center. I keep going to millimeters is what I'm used to.
Yeah, I guess if people get used to using imperial or metric, they don't obviously never have to switch. There's enough tools and parts and all that out there.
Yeah, let me see if I shut this light off if that's any better. Not really. Okay. So 4.5, 2 1/4 is center.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing my math correctly. So now I'll put a C there. So now that's center. So now we have our center of our center. And what I'm going to do, since I'm only doing 3 switches, that's actually going to be one of them.
Yep.
And then you can decide how far apart you want them to be between the center line and the edge of that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go 1 1/4 inch each way from the center line. But you can do whatever you want. Just remember, if someone's doing it and they only have one hand to do it with or something, or if you have more than 3 or 4 and you need multiple hands, make sure they're close enough so they can use one hand to do 3 switches or 4 switches.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing to think about. Is
if they're spread out, you don't have enough hands to try and flip them all.
Right.
So
unless you're making a team cache, teamwork required. That could be fun too, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to go 1 1/4 inch each way. on that, and so that's where my holes are. So pretty simple there. So now I'm going to go ahead and take, actually what I need to do is decide where I'm going to put my LED. Now, let's see if that focuses a little bit better. I'm going to place it right here. So the lock is on this end down here. I'm going to go ahead and put the LED just right up here at the top.
Okay, cool.
This switch, but you can put it over on the side. You can do whatever you want. Like before, I want to try and keep everything in that one little bay. So, okay. So now we need to start drilling. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the toggle switch holes. Let's screw this up just a little bit so I have some drill clearance.
Right.
Remember to hang on to your box when you're doing this so it doesn't catch and fly off the
around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once it
Afraid of pushing too hard and breaking the box.
Yeah, exactly. But you got, as soon as you get through it, it'll clear it well. So you, for the actual toggle switch hole, you're using the half or the 15/32.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool.
So that is 3 holes there. Shake off the shavings.
Yep.
And we're going to switch drill bits over to our LED hole.
Cool.
Oops, almost went in the wrong spot. Okay. I usually don't keep my drill bits in my drill in case it falls off the table. I'll break the bit if it lands on it.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we don't need this tape.
Right.
Take that off. And you could use a knife. You can use, there's all kinds of different tools you can use to get this plastic out of here, but it's really not going to make a big deal for me to keep it there. So now we're going to go ahead and install the switches. And let me know, Gary, if for some reason I'm building out of the screenshot, please.
No, so far you're good, and I'm keeping an eye out for if there's any questions for people that are building, or if they're going to build later. Obviously, can ask questions later.
So, geez, should open these before the show. So now these are on momentary switches. So they're not going to stay one way, right? They're going to switch back to the middle, to the off every time, right? So they're not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which direction you put them in. What I would suggest is to be able to flip them this way, but you can do it up and down if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Up to you, however you want to do. If you want to make it a little bit harder, I think that might be harder to do. But
side to side.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'm going to put it side to side like this, so you have to go sideways. But
right, you could do it that way. Yeah,
it's up to you. You may want to just double check your measurements, because if you go this way, I do not know.
Yeah, you might not have enough room.
It would fit, and you don't want your wires touching.
Yeah, no
connectors. It might just barely fit, but
yeah,
and that's up to you. Just watch what you're doing. Think about it on your measuring.
I like the momentary switches, like we've talked about before, especially a couple weeks ago when we talked about switches and buttons and everything. Is the fact that it's not held open, therefore it's not going to, more than likely your battery is going to survive out in the wild, because if you have them, because invariably, as I said before, I had a cache, even though I put a note that said, "Please turn this off," people didn't turn it off and they killed the battery.
Yeah, that definitely happens. And yeah, you're only using the power when you're pushing, when you actually have the circuit connected, which is when the toggle switches are pushed over.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're only using that amount of power for that amount of time, which is just long enough for something to open or to read some LEDs,
right?
Anything like that. And how this is going to work is they're going to see the light up, and they'll have to remember the numbers. We're going to number them, and they'll have to either multiply the numbers or some kind of puzzle. Anything you want. You don't have to use numbers. You can do an LED per light if you want. You could do, and this is something I thought about doing, is one of the door peepholes in the top, right? And you can actually have just a UV LED shine inside that would light up a number at the very bottom of the box.
That's cool.
But my thought is you'd have to put a divider in here because you wouldn't want swag or something to get over that number.
Yeah, and block it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. And when you get a chance, show that from a couple different angles when you can. So
the switch or the
switch or yeah. So you put in.
Here's the holes. I'm just going to take it in, and like I said, on this one here, I'm going to go side to side on this, not front to back. So it's going to go side to side on this here. Now you have several different types of nuts on this.
Okay.
Here, I actually am not going to use the one inside because I'm going to go ahead and hot glue this in place as well, so people can turn it. You can use epoxy, anything you want, but this is so you can space it if you're doing it on something thin, or you need to have a certain spacing on it. You can actually space it with that, but I'm not going to use that. We're just going to go straight into the hole
and hot glue it. I got you.
Yeah. And then
you're going to put
a washer.
Put a washer and then the other part. Okay.
And then I've seen this done several ways. So you can put this nut on.
Right.
To tighten it. And I've seen people also use this, because this is a nut as well, and just use this to tighten it.
Oh, right. That way, they're not pulling that thing off of there and leaving it. And I mean, you're kind of securing that switch so that people don't disassemble it more
And this came with this extra thing. I think that's so it can go on.
Oh yeah, extra.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Little rubber gasket kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean it's a hard plastic thing. I don't know what their plan on that is.
Huh? Well, if it works, it's. Audie's in the chat room. He's very concerned that we haven't mentioned Harbor Freight yet or Home Depot.
Amazon. Amazon's a sponsor tonight.
That's right.
Obviously, the ammo can is from Harbor Freight. I don't know if there's much you can get from this build from Harbor Freight. But yeah, we haven't mentioned it.
That's Audie being Audie.
So I'm going to go ahead and just put that washer on and then use a regular nut that came with it, get it tight, and then I'll go ahead and put that water resistant cover over the top. Now, if you're doing this inside, so there's no reason, if you can build a box inside of a can, an ammo can, or a warehouse, there's no reason you don't have to, or you can't put it inside. There's no reason you can't. Make sure that sounds right. And then you wouldn't have to use the waterproof boot, water resistant boot on it, if you didn't want to. But since this is going to be exposed to weather, it's on the outside, I wanted to make sure we screw this waterproof boot on.
Yeah.
And the way this works is it goes on this and seals, and then that gives you, it flexes the boot, right? And so it actually keeps it water resistant.
Yeah.
Torn on there. So now you can do it either way, and I just after putting that on with that nut, I don't know
Right.
if I would just do it without that nut. Let's do
You don't
it
think you're not concerned that you don't think water will?
Well, I'm thinking water will get in if you use the nut.
Oh, right. Makes sense. Yeah, because it's covered. There's no.
Right. And this is a little bit different than some of the other ones. Unfortunately, this is all that Amazon offered or had on there for these. But so yeah, see, that's nice and tight to the bottom.
Yeah.
And you could I put some silicone underneath that and then tighten it down. And for sure, it's going to be, as long as the boot doesn't get ripped, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, just have to be careful, I guess, if you're going to put silicone there. You make sure you don't get it all over anything else.
Yeah. Well, you got to be careful with your silicone.
Yeah.
A small hole in your tube.
Yeah. So yeah, Derek's mentioned he does has a video if you're interested. Baker Six Clan behind the cache. He's got a video showing about putting a box inside of an ammo can. So that's a good video.
That's something we should cover on here at some point because that could really open up what we could do with builds we just cover it once and then people can build the box.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two.
And you did them forward and backward. If you're looking at the front in a sense of the ammo box, you're doing them sort of back and forward. You're not doing side to side.
No, I'm going side to side. So I would call the front is what I would call the front.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm going side to side.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Front to back.
Right.
You could do front to back. You know, it's up to you. It's completely up to you.
Make it interesting. You can do it either way. I like the. I guess I'm evil thinking on gadget caches, but I like the idea of more. You got to do more than you've got hands for, so you've got to have somebody else help you out, kind of thing.
I like it. That cache that Joshua, the vlogger, has in his
yes.
That has 20 buttons on it, I believe, and that's the same thing. You barely have enough hands to even get that done. I'm gonna grab a different brand of this and just show people real quick the difference.
Oh yeah, go ahead. While you're doing that, I was gonna look up. You know, there isn't a lot of. I mean, there probably are, but I don't know if anybody who's watching or listening has run across a cache that let me find it. So I get it correct. There's an attribute, and it is, wait for it.
Teamwork attribute, right?
Teamwork required. Yes.
I have one cache that's a teamwork cache.
Oh, cool.
It could take 6 people to do it.
Yeah. Teamwork required attribute. There are caches like mob caches and other things.
Yeah.
But that's not, yeah. I was thinking of the attribute, but you're correct. And that really is a cool idea, because I don't know. I've never looked, and probably need to go out there and look on Project GC to figure out how many caches there are in the world that have that attribute. Probably a lot, but I just haven't seen a lot in my area that have that attribute. In fact, I think I still need that attribute, so I need to go find a cache that has that.
I love the teamwork attribute and have to bring other people in to find the cache.
Yep.
One thing I didn't show is these switches do come with the on-off-on.
Oh, okay, cool.
You can put those on if you want in the direction it's going. It's completely up to you. I don't typically put them on, but you can. It's up to you. Now, just to show a difference here on these weatherproof proof covers here. This is what came with these set here. And it just is a metal nut pretty much on there.
Right.
Now, this is a different brand, and let's see if it will focus a little bit better. There you go. You can see it has actually built in a rubber O-ring.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
So it's in the metal. So it's a little bit better. But if you silicone, and you just have to do a dab of silicone right around the bottom of the ring. I mean, it'll spread on the inside, but not the outside. That's all you need. Silicone stretches and lasts a long time.
Yeah.
You don't need a whole bunch.
Dave says he's got one ready to go, but he has no location yet for it. So, all right. We're looking forward to that one, Dave. I got a place in Kansas that might want one. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Kenny Mason Mady brought up about premium. Do you, Chad, tend to make all your gadget caches premium, or do you leave them open?
None of my caches are premium.
Okay, there you go.
I've gone back and forth, and ultimately, in my thinking, is if I didn't find a creative cache, I didn't start as a premium member, right? So if I didn't find a creative cache when I was a basic member, I would have never gotten into geocaching.
Oh yeah,
giving me that great experience, and so that's what I want other people to have, is that fun experience when they're just starting and get them into geocaching or to get them hooked. So yeah, none of mine are premium, but also mine are made very well, and they're mounted to buildings and a lot of other things. So they don't tend to get muggled. So I don't typically have an issue, and you cannot break into them. So it'd be very hard to.
Yeah, that's something too, Kenny, that it kind of depends also where you're putting them. I mean, that's something to be aware of. Chad puts his, at businesses. That's where he's fortunate enough to do that. If you live in, an area of the world where that may not be the best place, and you want to put them out, in some other location, your mileage may vary. You might want to make it premium. It's up to you. I mean, but I like Chad's point though, was if it was premium, he would never have seen it. And who knows, we would never have Gadget Talk.
Yeah, it really got the first several that we found, I just thought this is the stupidest game in the world. And then we found a creative one that was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I started thinking about it and thought, wow, I could, have fun and make some real creative caches and, see what we can do. And at that point, I knew nothing about favorite points either. So I was just making fun caches. And someone mentioned to me, I finally went to an event or something. Someone mentioned to me about favorite points. I was like, I don't know what that is, and started looking at it. And then I got addicted to favorite points, or making caches to get favorite points. But now it doesn't matter. Now that's one of the downsides of not having a premium only cache, is you're not going to have the percentage of favorite points you do on a premium only typically, because your newbies are not going to know exactly what favoriting is or have enough favorite points to give your caches. So, all right, now we're going to install the LED. Now, again, you can use other ways to install the LED. I'm just going to drill the hole and poke this through, and then we're going to glue it in. But you can go ahead and use the fittings that are made for them to put them in, the LEDs to go through. But I find that this works. I've tried every way, and this works for me the best. So
okay, gotcha. So you didn't really need to do anything.
That bit that we have here, the 3/16, is the size where you slide that in there, and it's tight.
Good. That's good to know.
So, right now for the fun part. So now we got to wire these up. So our positive is going to go, is going to run through the switches, and that's going to complete the circuit. The positive and the negative will be hooked up to the battery. So let's go ahead and strip some wires here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think we've gone over this in the past on stripping wires, so it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. But just to go over it here, these are pre-tin tire wires, which means they've been soldered, and so trying to slip the sheeting over it, the sheathing is not easy. It'll just rip the wire. So I just cut it off, and then I'll just go ahead and restrip it.
Gotcha.
I'm going to cheat.
Right.
And then I'm going to twist the wires together. And then typically, and this is something we're going to have to go over here in the future, near future, is how to tin the end of your wire.
Okay.
Together, and then so that's going to give it that solid end. So when you start putting them in wire, any of the clips or anything like that, there'll be a solid wire that goes in there, and they'll stay a lot easier. It's the right.
Yeah. Cool.
So, but we're just going to go ahead and twist for now.
Yep.
Make the wires together, and then put the wire nut on it. And I left this really long. In theory, this is going to go right here.
Okay.
So you could probably cut that way down.
Sure.
If you want. I'm just going to leave it long for the demo tonight.
Right. The positive. So really
the positive and the negative. I mean, once you know what your length is going to be, you don't need to have it that long. It's just extra stuff hanging out in your cache.
Right.
So now our positive is going to complete the circuit, which is what's going to run through these.
Okay, gotcha.
So I have the foot of wire here. Let me just go ahead and put this aside real quick.
Yep.
And now that I just put it aside, I actually need it for a sec.
Need it for a minute.
Yeah, we just need to see how long this is going to be. In my mind, I'd probably do 2 inches or so, 2.5 inches.
Right.
So, but just to double check, we cut them at 2.5 inches.
It should then make it all the way.
It'll be long enough, yeah, to either side. So, you're going to need. So you're going to need one, which we can, in theory, this is long enough. We could run this in here and then out from here. So in theory, we would need 3. No, wait, this needs to go here. This would go here. 1, 2, 2, technically.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to go ahead and strip this wire. And you don't have to use this gauge of wire, but it's thicker, and so it's easier to put inside these. Now, another reason why I chose these type of toggle switches or this brand is because they actually have a, which now that I put them in here, it's probably going to be hard to screw them in. But they have a screwdriver end, right, that you can screw it in, and you can actually strip the end of your wire 3/4 of an inch.
Right.
Put a bend in it, and then you hook it underneath there.
Right.
You tinned it first, soldered it, that'd be great. Or what you could do, which I didn't put these on the list, which I don't know why. You would put it in one of these spades or fork connectors.
Right.
Here.
Right.
And then that will actually just slide right down in there.
Right. And when you use your screwdriver, is it Phillips? It's not, or standard?
It's Phillips. It'll do Phillips. I think Phillips or standard.
Might do both, right? A lot of them nowadays, you'll see.
Yeah. So, on your first one, wherever you're going to go in, you could either start here or start here. It's up to you, whichever end. So pick an end and start. You're going to go to the middle. Where'd my screwdriver go?
So you're going to take the positive lead and run it.
Yep. So this is only going to be positive running through the switches.
Okay, cool.
So we could, since we're going to have the battery here, we could run the positive from here just to the middle lead. I'll put a bend in it. Now, if anybody's an electrician out there, this they're probably laughing at me. It does a lot of, or if you do a lot of electronics, but this works. It's not the way I would typically do it, but it will work if you don't solder. And that's kind of the point of this, is to make it to do caches that just anybody who has no experience can make.
Hey, I've done them that way before. You just hook it around and then tighten it down.
I'm gonna grab a regular screwdriver here. So I'm going to tighten that in the center. So the center one is where your power is going to go in, and then whatever the sides is where the power is going to go out. And then wherever it comes out, it's going to go back to the center, and then out from one of the ends back to the center. And then the other end, whichever one you want to use, will be hooked to the LED.
Okay.
So now that I have that on there, should have thought about this, but we do have to loosen these up.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. Right. Get it to...
Let's see if I can just loose them and not unscrew them. So,
oh, thank you, Ryan. While you're doing that, Ryan brought up that there are 5,534 caches with the teamwork attribute in North America.
Oh, nice. That's a lot. That's actually more than I thought we would do.
And Ian pointed out earlier that technically that attribute is supposed to be done not the way we were talking about using it, but to me it can be used either direction. You know, you can make it a true teamwork where there's a cache, you know, in Germany and you're in one other place, and you can make a teamwork cache that way. There's a version of that. I have seen that done where what was it called? It was like bread. It was a sandwich thing where it was just kind of a weird way to put it, but they're talking about basically completing two parts of a teamwork. So
I've never heard of it that way. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's the way that they that it's supposed to be. I think Jesse pointed out teamwork caches are created cooperatively by two owners for different areas. They encourage two geocachers to work together to find a cache in the different areas. Geocachers trade information that leads each to the final container in their own area. So technically, that's the proper answer for how you're supposed to do it. But which is cool. It's a cool idea. In fact, we have a thing on the Geocache Talk website that even promotes that. And so, but I like the fact that, and there's not enough, you know, the attributes I love. We would do a show sometime on attributes, but I kind of like the idea of, even if you don't use the attribute, I like the idea, and I know you do too, Jed, of not being able to complete a gadget cache by yourself, and that you have to have somebody come along to help. Is kind of fun. It's different.
Yeah, I have a property. I've considered doing that to where the parts to open the box are like 80 feet away from each other.
Yeah, I know WV Tim has one that they literally are quite a ways away, and their Arduino is set in such a way that you can't physically be at both locations at the same time. Therefore, you've got to work with somebody to complete. So it's just a neat idea. I mean, I don't want every one of them to be like that, but you know, you want variety.
Yeah, that's the fun part about creating a cache too. I don't know many of them that are all exactly the same. People will usually, if they're going to copy someone's, they'll kind of put their own spin on it.
Hopefully,
a little bit different. So, yeah, hopefully. So one thing I wanted to mention here is on this, and I just grabbed a different switch to show you, is I just put a hook in this. So if you're not soldering it, if you're not using the fork or spade connectors, you're going to want to hook this on here. Now, one thing to remember when you're doing this is if you put it in the wrong way, you want to make sure that the hook is going the way that the thread is going to go in. Right. Otherwise, if you're going the opposite way, so this is the same way, so stay in there. But if you're going the opposite way,
yeah, it'll spin out.
See that? It will spin out, and so yeah, it won't. It's not the best thing. You can probably get it to stay, but
Yeah,
see this.
I've done it that way, but like you said, it's so much easier if the hook goes that direction and you're going to pull down.
One just happened to stay, but yes, go. You want your hook to go the direction that you're going to tighten the thread or tighten the nut.
Correct. I like that. Yep.
So
it's a good tip. We have such a good chat room. They all brought that up when I mentioned teamwork. Well, Ian did, and he was right.
That's great.
But hey, you can make the attributes kind of do what you want them to do if you need them to.
Honestly, that's my first time ever hearing that. That's how a teamwork cache is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's supposed to be that way. Yeah.
Obviously, I haven't read the guidelines on them.
That's okay.
Put it out. Reading's overrated, so
I tell you.
Following the rules, yeah.
Following the rules is overrated. Everybody does that.
Like instructions, when you buy something that comes with instructions, like what?
Yeah.
I don't need those.
Throw those away.
Yeah. Okay, so after all that, we finally got one on. Let's see if I can put my tape dispenser under here.
Yeah, no problem.
So this one here. Now remember, when you're doing this on your toggle switch, you're going to think about which way you want your code to be. Now or later, it's up to you. But it's going to be the opposite direction. So if you want the button to be pushed this way to light up, then the wire needs to go on the opposite side. So if you want the button pushed that way to light up, then this wire needs to be on this side. So it's the opposite, because the way it completes the circuit or the switch is what it's touching. So
okay,
just a thought.
Gotcha. So if it's going to be forward, well, not forward, it's going to be
my screwdriver
to the right. Yeah, we'll see that more in a minute.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. So yeah, in fact,
Jesse, knowing is half the battle. And
so I can show you here real quick.
Yeah.
So if you want the light to light up or the switch to work going this way, right?
Up right.
I'll go this way to my right.
Yep, you're right.
Then the wire needs to be on this side.
Oh, on the opposite side.
Maybe wherever the bottom is pointing is the side. Maybe that's a better way to say it. So then it'll be this way.
Okay.
Right. So
gotcha.
You know what I'm going to do on this one real quick, just to show everybody how this works, is I'll put a spade or a fork on here.
Right. And I say that, but I think both Chad and I would both say we don't throw the instructions away. We refer to them later when we can't figure something out.
I throw them away after I put it together by myself and don't need them.
Well, that's true, but I meant before that, you're like, well, I was doing fine, and then all of a sudden, at least I do. I'll get to a point, and I'm like, crud.
Extra parts.
Let me go look at the thing and figure it out, or let me go read the instructions. Some of the instructions are better than others. I think we all say that.
So if we look at this spade bit here, or fork, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
If you have this here open, we'll go with. I don't have any of these open.
It's okay.
So if you have it unscrewed, this actually will just slide right in here.
Yeah.
And tighten it up, and it will be tight.
Right.
Forever. So, of course, I don't have it all the way in.
It's okay. I like those spade bits you're using, though, are really good, because once you tighten it down, it's going to pretty much not going to come apart.
No, because you're tightened up, and then I just bent it, but there's an ear on each side of the screw.
Okay.
You can probably see it better here. And the spade bit actually fits in between there, so it stops it from spinning as well. So then you're not going to get anything loosen up. You won't get to loosen up. Now, if it spun, then it could have a chance of loosening that screw up and coming off.
Right.
So But you may not want to use the spade bit if you're trying to keep everything really low to the bottom, because if you look at it, obviously the spade bit sticks out quite a bit. Versus this one, you could keep it really low or close to the switch itself.
Oh, okay.
But just for demonstration, we're gonna use it on that one.
Yes, Ryan, that's my problem. That's my Achilles heel, is I didn't look at the DT before I started to find the cache.
That sounds like something I would do.
Happens to me all the time. As I mentioned before, I suck at geocaching, so.
I don't like those lengths of those wires I did. Just a little short, so I just cut a little bit longer one. Now, hopefully you have extra wire. Hopefully you can go somewhere and find a foot of wire.
Adi says instructions are just a manufacturer's opinion.
Yeah.
That's one interpretation.
Or guidelines.
Guidelines. They're more like guidelines. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. I gotta remember what this is gonna. Fun part about these live builds, you get to see me mess up every time I do something wrong.
What do you do wrong? Just
I've been watching a lot of those Adam Savage.
Oh yeah, I love watching those.
Amazing. He did one where he messed up his saw cuts twice.
Yes. Oh, I think is that where he was building
the Lego sorter?
Oh yeah, okay, cool. I didn't watch that one yet. He did.
Oh, okay.
He messed up one with his. He built a battery like a battery caddy.
50 battery caddy, yeah.
Yeah, and he had forgotten. And he mentions this before too on stuff, but he had forgotten. He sealed it all up, glue, pinned it, all that good stuff, and then realized that he missed part. But he just took a like a gouge, like a chisel, and he kind of chiseled out a little section of the wood and got it to work. But
I've done that. I do a lot of my builds out of acrylic, and so I weld it together. It melts it together pretty much. What it does, and I've melted it together. Going, okay, I think I'm ready for this. And a half hour later, I'm like, oh, I forgot to do this other part. So then I got to figure out, okay, how do I get around that?
Like Para Rabbit's thing, he says, is measure once and curse twice.
So now that I'm on my last one, you could either do another piece of wire and do a wire nut to this, which is what I originally planned in the instructions, which is why I have 2 of the wire nuts on there. So we're going to do that actually. This little wire just being screwed into that, I just don't know if I like that.
Right.
I'm trying to twist these together.
So he was saying you might want to. You're a little off camera for that last part. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're
typing. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. You'll go through it.
2.5 feet, 2 feet in front of me, so it's not comfortable to hold my arms up.
Yeah, you're fine. You're doing good.
Okay, so last connection, which the last 2 came off this side, which means the switches will be this way. So I'm going to go the opposite side on this one.
Okay, cool.
But again, you can make it however you want. You can do as many switches as you want.
Right. Hey, mix them up however you want.
Yep. Customize it to yourself. Okay, so this is going to go ahead now. Remove this. So we have everything connected. So we have our battery going into the center of our first switch, and you can go either way you want, but I'm going here. And then out, in, and then out to the LED. Okay, so we want to test that, but I want to tighten these switches up real quick.
Just a little bit. Just so just so you can do a proper test.
Yep. I think you could do a really fun birdhouse.
Oh, it's with the switches?
With these switches.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I've considered starting to make some birdhouses and start doing some builds in those as well. I just don't know how many people hide birdhouses versus ammo cans.
Right. Well, you'd be surprised. Yeah, Jesse clicked on it. We were thinking the same way, but Caching Dead New York was asking about how this is going to work with all the switches in series, and we're going to show that.
Yeah, we're going to show it right here. So, in theory, if I did everything right, we're going to show you.
Yep. We're going to show you. We're going to show it a couple different ways tonight. We're going to show it here, and we're also going to show it on the back of a shirt that you can purchase.
Oh yeah, well that's actually next month's build, but it works the same way
later on. So yep.
Yeah. So the way it works now is we need to get this LED to light up. Now I printed out some numbers to put on each side of these for codes, and you can use a paint pen if you want, or you can do label maker, or even those big numbers. Although it'd be hard on this side to put on, but anything you want to do, you can even maybe in your hint have arrows pointing different ways and just have them mess with it, see if they get it. What I would do, I'm just going to do the numbers on it, and so they'll have to flip these, so nothing's happening. They'll have to flip these to get the right code,
right,
to get it to light up. Now I got to look at my code.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like birdhouse. I'm agreeing, Ian. That's in my area, and what Ryan mentioned too. The same thing about birdhouses. Those tend to work better in my area as well. They're maybe less likely. Have birdhouse on all sides. I like that. That's good, but it kind of depends on how poorly or how badly your muggle situation is.
Yeah.
Mine, I think, if it's going to have any chance of surviving, is going to probably need to be a birdhouse, but same thing, just different container.
It's not lighting up. Let me do a quick test. I don't have my voltmeter with me. It's in my work car.
Oh, yep.
But let's check something here.
While you're doing that, yeah, Ian was asking about putting anything on the nuts to lock them down, thread locker or Loctite.
Yeah, you can do Loctite or the thread locker stuff. I feel like
because you got kind of two things you're working on there, Ian. You want to think about keeping it sort of secure, but also you got to think about water. So
I know what I did. This is the classic mistake I talked about in our first build video. These LEDs, the negative is red.
Oh yeah.
The positive is black.
It's the opposite.
Glad I thought about that here. Just took me a second to think about that.
Yes, you could stick the battery to your tongue. That's correct, Derek.
I already did that. I tested it before the video.
Won't hurt you. I don't know if people know that. You'll get a buzz, a small buzz, a small shock, I guess. Tingle, whatever.
Small
At least you know if there's power to your 9-volt.
Yep.
Shows you how little 9 volts really kind of can have on them. As we talked about in some of the first few episodes. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, that was it. Brain fart on my side there.
That's all right.
So we're under here.
Yep.
Just lift this up just a bit. So we have our switches, we have our LED. So so these two this way and this one this way, it completes the circuit and lights it up. But it has to be those two in those directions.
Right.
3. And again, you could do multiple of them.
Sure.
If you want to. It doesn't matter. You can do 4 to make it harder if you want. Now on this back here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is just real quick hot glue that battery in. Mm-hmm. And then like in the past videos that we've done or builds, let me get here back on camera. I'm going to push everything down low now that I put that spade bit on there. I kind of wish I wouldn't have. Just kind of make sure everything's clean. I would personally shorten these up.
Yeah.
Just so you don't have a bunch of wires hanging here.
Yeah.
And then I would go through here, make sure everything's snug. And then I always, because for some reason this happens, people turn them, but they can twist. I run a bead of hot glue.
Right.
I'm going to use a pen on each side of the switches here.
Switches, right.
So that should prevent it from moving a bit.
Right.
And how great the hot glue sticks to the plastic. You could maybe fill that in with some hot glue. It's not really that hard to do. It doesn't take up that much glue.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you could even use silicone, but silicone this here too as well. So
silicone that section.
Yeah. And so real quick, grab my hot glue gun here.
Yep. It's like 3D. We need a 3D one because we got the hot glue gun firing up in the air. Could poke my eye.
Oh, sorry.
That's good. I like that.
And then
we'll start doing 3D. Yep.
I will just run a bead along the sides of these.
Just keep them in place.
Just to try and keep them in place. I mean, if someone really wants to turn it, they're going to turn it.
Yeah, but
hopefully it doesn't. They don't turn it.
Yeah, you're just hoping to, right.
I have one cache that I actually, the first build we did, I actually just end up filling this whole thing up with hot glue.
Yeah, or yeah.
They were just LEDs and they sat a lot lower.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to push the wires in. And you can hot glue those in if you want. The nice thing about hot glue is if you ever have to repair it, you can always use a heat gun to loosen it up or a chisel versus some of the epoxies. I don't know how they would do. I guess an epoxy, if it gets hard enough, you just have to flex the plastic and it would pop off.
Yeah, that's what he was talking about. Yeah, Ian was about covering it, and so you could cover the whole thing. And
I can show you a demonstration of what I've done. And yes, putting a cover over it so people can't mess with it is ideal.
Right.
And I can show you a couple different things you can do that I have done on a few other things here.
Okay.
A few minutes. So
no problem.
That is pretty much the build. Now we just need to add our code to it. So you're going to need obviously 6 numbers. And what I did was I went to my label maker I have. And the label maker I have is just here from Home Depot. One of these brother ones that we use at work.
Right.
And so I'm going to, I put the number in and then 2 spaces and another number.
Right.
And then I'll just cut them out. And you're going to remember, you're going to want to think about what your codes are going to be before you put them on.
Sure.
And what it's going to add up to on here. And then make sure whatever you want your lock to be, make sure your numbers aren't too big to where you have more than 4 or 3 digits, depending on what your lock is going to have on it. So I'm using a 4-digit lock, or at least that's what I planned this for.
Right. That's a good idea. Other way around.
Okay, just double checking.
That works.
Sometimes, it may be better to use a paint pen on this, then no one can pull the stickers off or anything.
Yeah, and
I'm not sure how great these labels will last outside.
I think you mentioned too one time. Let people know again that you use a paint pen at work, and I think you used it up on the roof.
Yeah, so we use paint pens at work for our RTUs or rooftop units, the big HVAC units on the roof.
Yeah.
Our commercial properties, we have 60 of them on top of a roof in some of our shopping centers.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to number them for service or if anything happens, also for tenants. So, which number applies to tenant. So I used Sharpie once and it wore off within a few months. And I used a paint pen 5 years ago and I'm just now starting to reapply it, but you can still see it on there. So paint pens are good. So unfortunately, with my design and I didn't pull the backing off the one side. With my design here, get my drink out of the way. I didn't account for the kind of the curve and how big the numbers were, but whoever's finding it can still see what it's going to be or what it should be. So those are our 3 digits that we're going to have for our code that they'll have to add up. So I put those on first because I needed those in a certain order. And now the other 3, I'm just going to put random numbers on.
Yeah, we'll fix. For some reason, the build list is not correct. Well, we'll fix it.
Is it blank?
Yeah.
What's funny is I went on to it earlier today to print it out, and it went to my dock, and it had some random pictures on it of some ideas I had.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, what is that doing there? So
yeah, we'll fix it.
Wouldn't let me see the list, so I deleted the pictures. So it must have deleted the list.
Well, and
go back on there and put it back on there.
Yeah, we'll fix that list for everybody. We'll fix it tonight and have that done. So, in case you need the build list for May, we'll have it corrected. So, no big deal. Yeah. Easy to do, easy to fix.
But my wife did just print it for me before the show, and she found it somewhere. So I don't know. Oh, I know. I sent her a PDF of it off my laptop. That's where she got it. So, yeah, we'll fix it.
Yep.
Okay, so there we go. There's our code. Now, again, depending on how hard you want it to be, you can put as many as you want. So people are going to have to mess with these until they get the right code. So who knows what they're going to do. I want it to be fairly easy for them. So once they get the code, you push this way, which is 24. And then these two this way, which is 10 and 36.
Right.
So if you multiply all those numbers together for a 4-digit code, it end up being, I thought I had it written down on my notes here.
It's okay.
So it was 8,640 would be the code. So 8640.
Gotcha.
On there. So, and then that would give them the code to get in. So
yes, perfect. So yeah, you did hot glue the disposable, but you don't feel too bad about that.
Hot glued the what?
You hot glued the disposable battery in.
Yeah, because it'll pop right out if you pull it. Are they worried about changing it?
Well, I think that's what. Yeah, I think he was. Yeah,
It's,
C3 was considering. But
especially if it's dead, I'm not too worried about if I do any damage. But if you take this, it'll pop right off.
so it'll pop out and you can pop it back.
Then you got to figure out how to hot glue it in the field.
Again,
that 3M double-sided tape.
3M double-sided, right? That's good.
If you're out in the field. So, but yeah, I mean, it's not going to affect anything.
Yeah, that works.
And then, one thing I found the other day, because 9-volt batteries sometimes are hard to keep with you and keep them charged.
Yeah.
So I thought about these. Now, I don't know if I'd leave this out in a cache, but I found these rechargeable 9-volt batteries here that actually charge off a USB.
Oh, wow.
So I charged them. I haven't used them, but it has the micro USB charger, and it comes with one. And you just plug it into your car or
like a battery
in your house or your laptop, and it charges the battery. So you'll always have a charged one if you go find a cache that requires a 9-volt.
Oh, that's cool.
So in theory, you could put it inside your cache and recharge it when you need to, but I don't know. This is not sealed. I don't know anything about these batteries. I don't know how well they would last in the weather.
Right.
So,
but if you need to carry one in your geocaching bag, because that's a different story. I mean, if you're not the cache owner, you're just going out and doing caches.
Yeah, that was my thought, is to
carry it with you.
To carry it with me and be able to charge it right in my car if I needed to.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Ryan gave some money for the effort, Chad. So
appreciate it.
For some money for the effort. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks, Ryan.
I think that was it for this build. Yeah. So you see the lock, got the code, got everything inside done, and it lights up. So we're good to go there. You could also, if you didn't want to do numbers, you could do 4 different LEDs and have them light up, and then they decrypt it off of an LED number code. If you wanted to, you could do colors here that meant different things instead of numbers. So if you had on your cache page the color code, again, we're just kind of giving you a start to building a cache. So
that's awesome.
But let's address the question on covering the inside.
Yes.
Real quick.
That's a good question.
So
while you're doing that, Ryan, Chad, I want to mention, so for June, we are doing, once again, Ride in the Rain is providing a coupon for everybody for Ride in the Rain paper. And you will get 30% off any purchase during June. Just use the promo code Geocache. So there you go. We got that going again. Yeah,
it's a great deal.
Yeah, that's great. You can buy some cool stuff there and get you a Ride in the Rain logbook to put in your Gadget cache.
Okay, so first of all, the ammo cans that I was talking about, a container inside, this is what I do. So these are acrylic. I make these. They're waterproof. You could actually put this in water, and no water would get into it unless you obviously go through the top of it. So everything's acrylic. I just paint it, or I'll use a vinyl wrap or something like that. But what I did for the electronics, and then obviously you can see it has a
3-digit.
A little bit closer.
Yeah.
3-digit code there that turns to lock it and unlock it. So
okay, cool.
You can see underneath there the way the lock works.
Yeah.
Right. So then you can't pull it out. So anyways, the way I did the electronics, so this actually has an Arduino in it.
Okay.
And so you can buy these little cases for your electronics. And I put rubber or black tape on the back of that just so it didn't touch anything.
Right.
But everything's shoved up in there, some LEDs and the Arduino part. And you can get these that are actually weather resistant, weather tight.
Oh, okay.
They have seals, and I have a couple here I can show.
Okay.
But that's one way to do it. I prefer I have an issue with this one because anybody could pop that off, and I thought, well, maybe I'll epoxy it on there so no one can pop it off.
Right.
But I don't want a cacher just to be able to get in there or pop it off or have it come off at some point and have everything exposed. But that's one way to do it. But you can get those. I have several of these here. So this is the size I used inside there.
Right.
Pops open. Not that easy.
It's solid.
A little bit, same thing, a little bit bigger. And then these here are weather tight. So this is nicer because you could actually screw this up underneath through the holes. And then you have screws, and I would use security screws.
Yeah.
Them. But once you take it off and open it up.
Okay.
If I can.
Yeah. Switch them up just to make it more difficult.
Yeah. You have a seal that goes inside this.
Oh, it comes with it. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it comes with it. So these are weather tight, weather resistant, weatherproof, whatever you want to call it. So that would go on there. That seals, and then
that's neat.
And these are, I think, just 10 right here. I think they're 8/32 screws, so pretty standard screw. But same thing here. The seal goes up here in this.
Right.
This is almost one I would prefer because you could actually bolt through the bottom of this, and then and they wouldn't be able to get to them. Versus this, they could see the bolts. But if you had an ammo can, actually, so if this was in an ammo can, and you opened up the ammo can and your puzzle's there, you could actually mount this with everything in it. So it's watertight through it, and they couldn't get to it. So then their puzzle would be in this or this one. But that's one way to do it. That's the way that I tend to do it because I like to keep it clean and keep it out of the way of casters trying to mess with it.
The Parabbas has about the hinge. The hinge is on the top, on the corner.
Yeah, it's acrylic.
But the hinge, I think he was talking about. Yeah, it's acrylic. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. It looks metal from here, but
we'll have to cover this sometime.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, we'll go through containers sometime. I like those.
So this is a larger one, but this is the hinge. It's just painted, so it's acrylic.
Oh, it's painted. That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, this is painted with a hammered metal look. This is all acrylic. So
cool.
It's a hammered metal look.
You just painted it. Oh, neat.
Yeah. Cool. So if you look on the bottom side, you can see it's acrylic. It's see-through.
Yeah, gotcha.
But yeah, it's just a acrylic hinge. They have some that self-close, so they have a spring in them, so it actually would try and stay shut.
Oh, right.
There's all kinds that you can do, but this is typically what I do because it all glues on there. There's no way for anybody to take it apart. It's completely glued on there, which when you glue acrylic, it kind of melts it together.
Yeah.
So I had a cache that was broken into that had an acrylic hinge door, and it actually broke the door and not the hinge.
Wow.
So I actually didn't think it was that strong, but
apparently.
So you will have to go over some of these containers in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll make some wood ones that are pretty easy to make, but acrylic too bad.
Yeah. No, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I guess you want to show, might as well, can you show your shirt real quick and we'll.
Oh yeah, sure.
This shirt's available. So let me. Yep.
You can see it.
Yep. What part of it don't you understand? And there's the circuit.
Yes. So this circuit here is what we're building next month.
Cool.
So it's this right here is what we'll be building. So that's exactly the circuit on the back. So
perfect.
Dave actually, DJW House was nice enough to draw it up for me. And then I sent it into the Current Cuts vinyl and screen printing to have it printed up.
Yep. Go to geocachetalk.com, go to the shop, and you can get yourself a shirt for that. Perfect.
Yeah. And, if you want any kind of geocaching, if you have a trackable that you lost that you need, a new one made up, they'll add that trackable number to any design you want, any size, any color. And they'll send you a proof before they cut it out and send it to you. So yeah, definitely check them out. They'll also do trackables on shirts if you want those.
Yep. That is awesome.
Good place.
So as we kind of wrap up tonight, Derek, he's like, I want a shirt. Oh, they're there, buddy. Go get you one. Oh yeah. Jesse's wanting to know about V-neck.
V-neck. Yes. If you go on there, just request for a V-neck or a regular t-shirt, and also colors. If you want a different color rather than what's shown, that's not the only color that's available, but it's the easiest one to show on the site. So yeah. Just send them an email or a message. I believe it's on their site there, and they can get you whatever you want.
Yep. Go to there, and we're obviously partnered with Keith and the website, the Etsy website, and he'll get them done. And we're very happy to have them as our partner for our shop. So
yes. And I think Gary has one of the vinyl stickers right there.
I do. Here's a vinyl sticker you can get.
It's for the back of the car.
Back of the car. You can get a Gadget Talk one, probably.
You can get a Gadget Talk, Geocache Talk, give them any size, any color. You can have your trackable added to it or your name.
Have the trackable. I have one I'm putting on my car. It's a little smaller version, but it's got Geocache Talk, and it also has our Susan and I's GC name, and a trackable that got burned up in a car fire, and looking forward to getting that back on the car. So
yeah, they do signs. These signs here that you see. Pull it off, but if you want one for your this was for a lab cache for an event, but they can do signs like this, anything you want. Or if you want to just stick it right to the front of a geocache, like a container, they'll just send you the vinyl and you just stick it on there. You don't need the metal.
But I love that. That's a great idea. I love that. Such a great idea.
Yeah, that was good. I made those ones up, but they're probably a little bit quicker at making them than me.
Yeah. Still great idea.
Yeah.
Cool. Link in the description. Sure. I will do that. Sure. While I'm doing that, do you want to kind of let people know some of what we've got coming up, or you want to talk about the June build for a moment? Or
so June build obviously is going to be, we talked about it before, it's a 9-button Decipher. We're not going to add this to we're not going to add this to a container. You'll have to do it on your own. You'll either build a container inside of an ammo can or something, because these are a little bit bigger. Now I have square buttons on here. The ones that it will be in the description that will be out here in the next couple of days, or in the parts list is round. Right. In fact, I think I have a bunch here I can show you. It was I had to wait for the order to come in. It's kind of, Amazon's a little slow right now.
Yeah, for some things they seem to be hit and miss. I don't know, Chad. I'm getting a mix of.
So this is the square one, and you'll be getting a round one like this. So a little different. Easier to deal with. I don't like the squares because they have this extra hold off on them that keeps the squared. But you have to drill in 2 extra holes per button.
Oh, where the round ones you don't have to do that.
Right. So I didn't there, obviously, so there can be cattywampus. So
would that be good?
I like the look of the squares, but I don't like the squares.
Right.
How they work. So they'll be round ones, so they won't twist, won't turn, but they will come apart. You can label them if you want. You can change the LED colors, anything like that. So, and then you just have to, and you can set the code up just like what we did for the build tonight, to however many buttons in whatever order you want to put them in. And then just add it to any cache you want. You know, this would be an ideal one for a birdhouse. If you had a door that opened, and then you had these buttons inside, that'd be really cool.
That would be neat.
Birdhouse. Maybe I'll have to throw a birdhouse together with one or something for this next build.
Yeah, very cool.
My first build at birdhouse.
Yeah, that would be different.
Yeah,
may have to do one.
I won't build that live because probably a lot of
that's what I was thinking. Was you may have to wait. You may have to do one, prep one, and then do it again.
Yeah, and my wood shop is way in the back of the house. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I get any reception out there.
June build, I think we decided was going to be June 30th.
June 30th.
June
Yes.
30th. It is 5 weeks, but don't worry, we'll have Tuesday. We're working on Tuesdays. Obviously, we'll have some Gadget Talk shows that are in between the final build. We always, like this month we talked about buttons and switches, which was a great lead in to tonight's. And so we'll have Chad has other items, other ideas. No spoilers. But things that, like, you had Dave DJW House on one time. We have Gadget Talk on, even though we're not doing builds. We do builds once a month. People that aren't familiar with that, but so that's very cool.
So our next Gadget Talk should be June 9th.
Yes.
Tuesday, June 9th at 6 p.m. Just double check my calendar. And I'm thinking on that one because I've had a lot of emails and messages about touring my shop, my workspace. Yeah. And I don't know if I'd call it a shop, but giving a tour of it, kind of showing people want to see what's in the drawers, everything I have. So on June 9th, we'll do a tour of the shop. So when you come on, make sure you can ask any questions you want. If you want to see something or you have, or what kind of tools I use, anything like that, I'll have everything in here to show you.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yep. Perfect. All right. I guess we're gonna wrap it up. And any questions? I think we mentioned a couple places you can go. Obviously you can go, not that one. Gadget Talk. Somehow we got that changed.
And if anybody wants to see some of my builds, they can look on Instagram at either Bounce 8, and I have some stuff underneath the Gadget Talk podcast. As well. So
Bounce 8 on Instagram, or you can go to the Gadget Talk podcast.
Yes. And if you build one of these caches that we built tonight, and you're willing to have us share it on our Instagram and Facebook, make sure you send us a picture.
Yeah.
What it is.
Perfect. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap up again. Thank you so much, Chad. It was a great show.
Yeah, it's fun. So appreciate everybody joining tonight, and make sure you send us any ideas you may have or questions.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody.
All right.